Day 320 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem, and today we have question number 747, largest number at least twice of others. The difficulty level is easy, but you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. But before we get started on our daily LeetCode problem, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, y'all. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go in and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. So let's see what the question says. You are given an integer array nums where the largest integer is unique. Determine whether the largest element in the array is at least twice as much as every other element in the array. If it is, return the index of the largest element or return -1 otherwise. All right, y'all. So it sounds simple enough, but let's go ahead and take a look at these examples just so we can make sure that we are doing the problem correctly. So first, in the first example, we have the input nums equals an array of integers 3, 6, 1, and 0. The output is 1. Explanation says 6 is the largest integer for every other number in the array x. 6 is at least twice as big as x. The index of the value 6 is 1, so we return 1. Excuse me, y'all. So as you can see, 6 right here is the largest number in this array, right? And 6 is also at least twice as big as every other number in the array, right? It's twice as big as 3, and it's more than twice as big as 1 and 0. But we're not done yet because we're not returning 6. We want to return the index, right? That's why the output is 1, because 6 sits at index 1. So remember, indexes start from 0. So this is index 0. Then we have index 1. Then we have index 2, 0, index 3. 6 is at index 1. So we're going to return 1 for the index that element sits at. So let's go ahead and take a look at example 2 just to make sure we understand what's going on. And it's also a case where the largest element is not twice as big as the rest of the array. So in example 2, we have input nums equals an array of integers 1, 2, 3, and 4. The output is -1. Explanation says 4 is less than twice the value of 3, so we return -1. So in example 2, as you can see, 4 is the largest element in this whole array. Now, if we check the rest of this array to see if 4 is twice as big as every element in the array, we see it's not. It's twice as big as, it's more than twice as big as 1. It's twice as big as 2. But when we get to 3, 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 is not greater than 6, so we have to return -1 because 4 is not twice as big as every element in the array, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find which element is twice as big as every other, at least twice as big as every other element in the array. And if it is, like up here, we return the index. But if it's not, then, if it's not like it is in this example, then we just return -1. Boom, right here it says return -1 otherwise. So now that we understand the question, y'all, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. As y'all know, we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as possible. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to find the maximum number in the array. So we can say let max num equal nums dot max, open up the square bracket. Not the square bracket, sorry. Then after nums dot max, put the parentheses. Then we're gonna put question mark 0, just as in case it's because it's an optional, we need a default value. Boom. So what this is going to do, once again, is going to find the maximum number in num so we can know which number we need to see is bigger or twice as big as the rest of them. Now we're going to create a flag to check if the max number is at least twice as big as the other numbers. So it's going to be a boolean. So we're going to say declare variable, say is twice. We'll say colon, then we'll say bool, so cast it as a boolean and set it equal to true as a default value just to start. Now you already know it's time to iterate through the array to check everything. So in order to do that, we're just gonna say for num in nums, and that's gonna allow us to iterate through the array. Now we can ignore the max number itself, so we can say if num exclamation point equals max num. So if num does not equal max num, then we need to see if any number times 2 is greater than the max num. So it means max num is not twice as large if we do find one. So in order to do that, we could come right here and we can say if num, because remember it's going to exclude max num. We already know what max num is, so now we're checking num, or we're going to see num. If it's not equal to max num, we're going to check all the other numbers that are not the maximum number, right? So we need to check those numbers to see if max num is twice as big as those numbers. So we're going to say if num times 2 is greater than max num, that means max num is not twice as big as the other elements, right? So we can say, we can open up the bracket, we can say is twice, we could set that equal to false, because we know it's not, max num is not bigger than, or twice as big as the other numbers. Then we could just return -1 because we already know that it's not twice as big. Boom. Or we already know that we found a number where max num is not twice as big. Then we come right here, we could say else. Boom. So if it's not greater than max num, we come right here in the else, and then in the else, we need to see if the num times 2 is less than or equal to max num, and that means the condition holds. So we can say if num times 2 is less than or equal to max num, that will mean that max num is either greater than twice as big or it's twice as big itself, right? So then we could just open up the brackets and we could say is twice, we could set that equal to true. Boom. And then we could just come right here and we could say else. Once again, if the condition is violated, then we could just mark it as false and return -1. So in all other cases, we just say is twice equals false, and we could just return -1. We're not done yet though, because we still need to return the index of max num when we find it. So in order to do that, we're going to come right here and we'll say if is twice, which means if is twice is true, boom, then we can say return nums dot first index. So that's going to find the first index that they see of, so we say of colon max num, just like that. Then once again, it's optional, so we say question mark -1. If all else fails, then we come right here. If we get through all this code and we don't find anything, we could just return -1 as a default. Boom. So now let's go ahead and run this. Make sure it runs like it's supposed to before we submit it. It's accepted, y'all. Look at that first try. That's what I'm talking about. So now that it's accepted, let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it stays accepted. Let's see. Ooh, look at that. Y'all know I love those numbers. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users with Swift, y'all. Not too bad, not too bad at all. Those are some good numbers right there. So with that being said, make sure y'all get one more look at the code, read it, learn it, love it. This the top half. Go ahead, take a look at the bottom half. And yeah, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.